Hello, everyone. It's Demi. I'm back with part 4 of my proposal terms I'm back with part 4 of my proposal terms video series. And today we're going to go over some proposal specific terms, whereas in other videos, they were maybe more contracting related. So today, yes, we're talking all about proposal terms. If you haven't yet, go ahead and check out the rest of the videos. My goal was really to create videos with some of the most common terms because I know how overwhelming it can be when you're starting to enter into this space because there are so many acronyms and different terms out there. So hopefully it's helpful. Let's go ahead and get started for today. First up, we have question response proposals. So if you haven't heard of this term before, this is a popular, I would say, approach to writing proposals where you're actually taking the question from the RFP and then pasting it over into your actual proposal template. And then once you have that in your proposal, you are writing your response directly below that question. So sometimes you will maybe like italicize the question or make it a different color. Sometimes you'll put requirement in front of it and then answer below. It really just depends on your template, but question response proposals, I would say, are very common and popular for RFPs because it makes it really clear exactly what you're responding to and when. So it makes it a lot easier from an evaluation perspective. So if you're not already using them, I would definitely encourage you to go ahead and start creating some question response proposals. The next term on the list today is boilerplate. So if you're not familiar with boilerplate, this is a term for the standard content that you're repeatedly using in your proposals. So this is often content that's in your template or maybe your content library, and you just refer to that as boilerplate because you're taking it, you're putting it into your proposal. It's like an old printing term actually, but we're all on computers today. But boilerplate is anything that lives within your content library that you're able to use without customizing it too much whenever you put it into your proposal. Ideally, it is already tailored to your audience and you're able to incorporate some customer specific information in there. I have a lot of blog posts on how to do this. So feel free to go to the website to check that out. I'll link to that below. But boilerplate is really helpful. It's just remember it's important to customize it because it will perform a lot better if you include customer specific information within your actual proposal. Next up, we have the term shred. So this is most often said as like, I'm going to go shred the RFP. And when you hear that, it means that they're reading through the RFP and the solicitation documents and then adding comments, highlights, taking out key information, and really just shredding it, like ripping it apart to find out exactly what they need to know before they start creating the proposal. So this is a very critical step whenever you're responding to RFPs because you want to do this first to make sure you're not missing any important information before you start creating your RFP response. So this is really just where you're going through, like I said, and figuring out what exactly you need, adding highlights, comments, things like that. Some people will shred by actually physically printing out the RFP. Others are able to do it on their computer. So whatever makes sense for you, just make sure that when you're going through and reading the RFP, you're taking note of anything important. Next up, we have executive summary. So the executive summary is a short document. Normally it's like 1 or 2 pages that will occur at the beginning of your proposal. And this is essentially a summary of key points that you want them to know before they start reading your proposal. So this is the one section that almost every evaluator reads, except for maybe the cover letter, sometimes pricing. So it's the perfect place for you to really highlight those differentiators that you want the buyers to know as they're reading through your proposal. If you struggle to write executive summaries or you're not sure exactly what you should include in it, I have included a link to a blog post that has some examples so you can use that for inspiration. And I also have a few videos on proposal executive summary. So make sure you head over to the channel page and you can watch those there. The last term I have today is ghosting. And no, I don't mean ghosting where someone just stands you up and never responds to you again. Ghosting in proposals is actually a competitive strategy. So whenever you hear someone use the term ghosting related to proposals, it means that you are kind of subtly calling out your competitor within your proposal. And that doesn't mean you're calling like using their name or anything like that. It's just something where you're kind of drawing attention to probably a weakness of theirs. You wouldn't really call attention to a strength. So you're calling attention to one of their weaknesses to raise it, like just bring it up in the customer's mind. So that's something that they're thinking about. So for example, if you have, say, a dedicated salesperson or customer support person who is working with that customer, then and you know your competition just has like a general helpline, then that could be something you mention in your proposal of like, where many companies have a dedicated support line, you have a direct person, so you're never going to be on hold whenever you need help with whatever our solution is. So that's, I know that's not a super clear example, but I do also have a blog post on that has some examples in it, so I'll link to that below. But just know that whenever you hear ghosting as it relates to proposals, that it is related to your competition and calling them out in your proposals. So that's everything that I had for today. I want to just give you a few quick common proposal terms that you maybe hadn't heard of before. So that way you know what they mean and whenever you hear them and can start implementing them in your proposal process. Make sure that you go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you can see the rest of the videos in the series. And if you haven't already, go back and check out the last ones. And if you have any questions or terms that you're not familiar with, go ahead and put them in the comments and I'll try to incorporate those into future videos. And like I said, I've linked to some key resources that I mentioned throughout the video here, and I'll see you in the next video.